do you think that it was a conspiracy to get rid of that sound? Because like I grew up off of that, the X Clan, the KRS One, the Tribe Called Quest, and I just think if we never accepted in the more rap that's more toned to negativity,
I think
we would have
I
won.
think that, my opinion, because I saw this as in a channel in the beginning. I remember when in '82 when the message came out, and then you had various artists, which is still early setting of hip hop, that people were trying to get them to understand it. There was a set of other different groups that came right after the message by Flash and Furious 5 that was putting out similar songs, and that fizzed out. So now here it is, where you have Boogie Down Production, even though they was grimy, but they had message also.
Right.
Because you had Criminal Minded, but then you listening to what he's saying in poetry,
Right.
So he had it balanced. But by the second album, you had people paying attention more with my philosophy. Stop the violence. At the same time, here come Public Enemy. But in the earlier setting before them two, you had Poor Righteous Teachers where they stuck out by themselves. So now they piggyback off of that is what I just mentioned. Boogie Down Production, Public Enemy, X Clan, several others. The audience is with it to a certain extent because after a while, the hip hop audience felt it was too preachy. Okay, enough is enough. I don't want to hear all that. So what broke the scale through that? Here come NWA.
They were like the anti.
Diversity.
May I ask you
Well, not necessarily anti, but they were like the Malcolm X to the Martin Luthers.
So it's ill math
Right.
because I always wondered this, never asked it completely. Jungle Brothers album had Straight Out the Jungle.
Right.
And NWA had Straight Out of Compton.
Right.
There was a connection between them making it that title? Or you just don't know?
That's a good question, which I never really look into that. Just pull my mind onto that. Jungle Brothers, their concept is to try to bring a different approach. Because everybody, one thing I could say, during that time, every group was having their own identity. They sounded different, they looked different, they present themselves different.
Right.
So when Jungle Brothers came with this idea of, with the Afrocentric approach, then you had De La Soul that had their style of what they did, but they still attach according to the similarity of sound and presentation. Tribe, they had their Afrocentric, but the jazz fuse brought a different flair.
Right.
But NWA, their whole thing was about the life they live. So I didn't think nothing about they had similarity straight out of Compton.
Okay, you just thought about
No, because straight out of Compton, they talking about where they originally come from, where they live.
Right.
Straight out the jungle is like bringing a different presentation. Because as we all know, living in the hood, you come from the jungle.
The jungle. Yeah.
So that was their way. They talking about the city they come from.
Right.
But when they came out, they was coming out raw. Now there was other people that came out raw from them in the earlier stages, like King T, Ice T. I remember my man Toddy T came out of this record called Battle Ram. There was some records I was playing from out there. I played also, but they was just displaying what they about, the gang era. Meanwhile, we had our own gangsters, but their shit was slick. Cool G rap.
Right.
The most raw I would say, I feel just actually a little more raw than Cool G rap. Then here come the smooth, laid back Rakim. We know the gangster image coming from them, but how they coming across,
Right.
They was telling stories.
telling stories.
But they dressed like 80s drug dealers.
They were dressing like drug
They
dealers.
they did, but the music, they told stories of what we shouldn't have got involved.
No,
I
totally.
mean, I was such a kid affected by that. So I went from listening to KRS-One, and KRS-One said a lyric when I was a kid that I don't eat meat, turkey, ham, or hamburger. I stopped eating meat at
that's
15
self-suicide,
years old.
self-murder.
I have not ate meat since 15 years old because of that lyric. KRS-One was the one who brought into my mind, I'm going to private school or Christian school. He started saying Moses was black and these people was black.
But
that made
why
me
is that?
immediately go study and go look it up.
Yeah.
When NWA dropped, I'm like 12 years old, I'm good kid. I don't know anything about the street besides what a kid could see on TV. From listening to NWA, I was in a mirror saying I was a nigga for life and I was on the run and you know what I'm saying? No, but it was,
You know what your story sounds like?
Young Bird.
It
Young Bird.
completely changed
Yeah.
who I was. If I would have kept on the KRS-One path, which that did override me in life.
Right.
Thank God, because that was my original. But think about the kids that came up when their original wasn't KRS-One.
Right.
But why
Their
did that
original-
override you though?
Because that was the source. It was the source. I
The
came
source.
up
But
off
like,
of,
why was it so enticing to you, Bigga?
because KRS-One was education.
But NWA comes. How does that overlap with KRS?
How did that overtake what
It
KRS
overtake
was
you.
saying?
It
was just the
overtook
vibration,
your
bro.
mind because of the vibe, like he said.
vibration
because of
just-
the vibration. I just
Not
told
the
you I was
vibration,
in the
but we all
mirror.
know in reality that violence attracts more than anything else.
There you go.
Doing like that.
It's an attention.
I call it the
It's
world.
provocative.
I call
Right.
it the world star effect. You won't stop if two people are giving dap on the street. You keep walking. Two people
Yeah.
fighting in the street.
You know what's so
stop the watch.
crazy? When we had Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, Girls of the World Ain't Nothing But Trouble, and I used to play that in Union Square, the hardcore Brooklyn cats was dancing to that.
Yeah.
Then here it is, later on, they was considered corny. Because when Will started appearing on TV, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and he came and parents don't understand, you ain't trying to hear that shit. But you wasn't thinking like that a couple years before that when you listened to Girls of the World Ain't Nothing But Trouble and Brand New Funk. That was like, oh yeah, now you want to be appealing more to the harder substance.
Right.
And that's what happened. But by NWA coming out the same time as the Native Tongue and many other different features around, it had a diversity where you can make a choice which one you want to go to.
Right.
And it came like that into the 90s. Once again, when I was saying, for example, you had Brand Nubian, you had Pete Rock CL Smooth, you had Daz Effect, you had Lords of the Underground. MC Light was still making her way, coming through with the Roughneck and all of that. But then here it is, Diddy, along with Andre Harrell, wanted to bring a different flair, like hip hop grown up. It's like, we're not in the street no more. We trying to show that we classy.
Right.
That's why he came with the term
We about
ghetto
this money.
fabulous.
We about this money.
We wearing suits. We moved up.
There was an R&B.
You know what it
hip-hop.
reminds you of? The crowd he was saying where he learned to DJ at. When it was
went
all
back to that
dressed
crowd.
up.
It kind of went back to that crowd. That's crazy.
Right. It's cycles. But in defense of NWA and other like hardcore hip hop groups, they're just explaining their environment.
Yeah.
And in a way, in the hood, everybody knew just one kid that was just too nice. And because he was too nice, he got taken advantage of.
Right.
And you would just wish that kid would just be a little bit tougher. But he kept getting taken advantage of. That's like not understanding the mentality of the neighborhood. The neighborhood made you like that. So they were just expressing, this is what's going on around us. Because you think about the time frame of NWA, what was going on in LA?
Oh yeah,
You
absolutely.
dig what I'm saying?
One,
It
but
was
one
really the voice
example
of the community.
of what I mean to that. So this will better give y'all an understanding. There was love in hip hop, which you already know about. You know, it was all about love. Heavy D, LL Cool J, I Need Love.
Yeah, Houdini, One
Yeah,
Love.
it was all about love. Again, I'm from this. I'm that age. I'm from that. Snoop Dogg dropped, and he said, "Give a damn about no hoes. I don't, hoes." That changed everything. It changed the whole
They was
entire.
expressing how they was living out.
But it wasn't just
But we
Snoop.
still have to be responsible for what we
Digital
telling the
Underground.
children.
They was rapping about hoes too.
We still have. I don't even talk about
In
digital.
a different form.
But we
I'm just
still
saying.
gotta be responsible.
But I'm just saying.
What we put out to the children.
Right.
What we put
That's
out
true.
to the children, we gotta be responsible.
Again, the Sucker for Love dude. What does he need to listen to? Snoop.
Yeah. Otherwise,
No.
Yo, every time I broke up with
No.
somebody, Snoop Dogg was the go-to,
Oh
son.
God.
Still, I broke up with my baby mom, son. Yo, last meal, track 15. Son, losing control.
Us looking at black women
Got
as
out of that.
whores was
But it's not all. Bigger, you know
a
that.
kid don't understand.
But
that.
You know
not
that.
only
It's not all of
let's understand another thing. If you remember during the early 90s, when after that situation that Luke went through for freedom of speech, and after they won that opened the door for everybody to speak their mind. And it went gun-ho right from there. Even though we know NWA was already at that point.
Yeah.
And they got in trouble behind that, fuck the police.
Yeah.
And come on. But now here after what Luke was doing, and he had to go to court with that, but it helped lead for the
Ice-T
entire,
too.
Ice-T,
for the freedom of speech. Everybody just went for it.
Maybe it shouldn't have been.
Nah, I think at the same time,
I mean,
all that love, like, yo, bro, you can't.
It should no.
You
you're
can't
right.
walk through the project.
Anyone
like,
can say what they want, but
love.
you can't
Nah,
muffle.
son,
You
that's
can't
not-
muffle the truth. The truth got muffled somewhere.
When police started hitting people upside their head and all these racist people that was attacking, but no, bro, we needed a chant
Nah,
for
but
war.
Public Enemy had the
We
answer for
needed
that
it-
though.
we needed a chant for war.
It didn't take gangbanging to do, but Public
but-
Enemy had the answer for that.
But
Public
you
Enemy
listen to what
died
Chuck
down
D is
around
saying.
that time, though.
Chuck D is, come on, bro. Chuck D was
No, he was
beating
calling.
up slave
Yeah,
masters,
he was
man.
calling
he was talking
for
some
it.
shit.
He was.
Yeah,
It was the same message, bro. It was the same message.
In a different approach.
In a different
just
approach.
wraps up
Totally
differently.
different
Just
approach.
kind
You
of.
can't
Elvis
compare
was the hero
NWA
to
to no
most, but he
Public
never
Enemy.
meant shit to me.
NWA, I never heard bitch in a record until I heard NWA. I never heard black on black crime like the way they expressed it until I heard NWA.
According
I
to
didn't hear
how they
any
was-
of
Love's
that.
gonna get you.
Love's gonna get.
Love's gonna get you.
No, but that's telling a story. Again, if you listen to Love's Gonna Get You, he's telling you what not to do, what not to end
Yeah,
up.
no, he's
that
right.
The
He's
love
right.
is
He's
gonna
right.
get you, it's gonna
That was
send
like a
you down the
cautionary
wrong
tale.
road. You can't compare these
When they
legendary
come, when they
groups.
It's hot for trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rappers. Got bars I can hang with the backpack.